What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm also the host of Epic Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And also once a month, like I did yesterday, I host monthly conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And if you know anything about the Dr. Vibe Show, we always like to have new friends and new great initiatives, well, new to me, initiatives that are beneficial to people, and especially Canadian people, since I'm in Canada, I'm in Toronto. So we have another new friend and new initiative today. We have Henri Huard. He's actually from the Employment and Social Development Canada Department, and we're going to be chatting today about Canada's Volunteer Awards program. But before I bring Henri on, I'm going to give some background about the Canada's Volunteer Awards. The objective of Canada's Volunteer Awards is to recognize volunteers and bring national prominence to the contributions individuals, not-for-profit organizations, social enterprises, and businesses make to their communities through volunteering. This aligns with the Government of Canada's interest in promoting innovative solutions to local problems. The goal of the awards is to inspire Canadians from all walks of life to find new ways of making a difference in their communities. So that's a little bit about the program, but let's bring one of the faces of the program on today, Henri Huard. How are you, Henri?
Hi, Dr. Vibe. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on your show today. This is a great opportunity for us to get to share some information about the program. So I'm with Canada's Volunteer Awards. I joined the team just a few years back in 2016, but the program's been around for longer than that. We have been around since 2012. Right. To add on a bit to the little background that you gave about Canada's Volunteer Awards, yes, we recognize the volunteer contributions of individuals, groups of volunteers, socially responsible businesses, not-for-profit organizations, and social enterprises. We really want to recognize and support the importance of volunteering when it comes to community development. So that's the main purpose of the program. And we're right now in the middle of our call for nominations, or near the end of our call for nominations for the 2020 award recipients.
Well, how did you find out about this?
Well, the odd thing is that actually it speaks to one of the challenges of the program is I didn't know that the program existed until I joined the team. So when I joined the team is when I really got to learn about the program. And that's also one of the first things that made me realize that there's a lot of work still to be done to raise awareness about the program. And so that we've been trying to improve a little bit every year to reach more groups and more stakeholders and make more friends, as you put it, to help us spread the good news about the program.
Volunteering, it's probably one of those things that a lot of people take for granted. Would you not? Would you say that?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, it's incredible how challenging it can be sometimes to even get nominations for the awards, because a lot of volunteers volunteer from the goodness of their heart, not because they're looking to be recognized or they're looking for awards. So we put a lot of work to draw attention to the call for nominations, because a lot of volunteers do what they do because it's just part of who they are. It's just part of being a member of the community. And we really, really want to highlight that because it's essential. Our communities wouldn't be as strong and as healthy as they are without the invaluable work that volunteers bring.
Absolutely. In regards to these awards, like how much work is involved in making this happen?
A lot. So although we are a small team, we are very busy. So the way that it works is that our program runs on a cycle. So we start our cycle, and it's an annual cycle. We start our cycle with the launch of the call for nominations. So we open a call asking Canadians and organizations to nominate either themselves or someone that they know that they feel deserves to be recognized for their wonderful volunteer work. And
Henri, so let me just stop right there.
Oh,
So
yes,
what are some of the qualifications if
yes.
either you want to be if you want to nominate someone, and also could either an organization or an individual nominate themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So the qualifications are very simple. We recognize any individuals who are at least 18 years of age. And for organizations, the representative of the organization has to be at least 18 years of age, whether it's a business or not for profit. They have to be Canadian or a resident in Canada, a permanent resident, or even qualify under the Refugee Act and being in Canada. And so the main thing other than these criteria, the main thing that we're looking for is volunteer contributions. So the entire nomination is based on the volunteer work that was done. And when it comes to businesses and charities and not-for-profits that are nominated, they have to be registered in Canada.
Okay.
So, and the work has to happen in Canada. It doesn't have to happen 100% in Canada. It can also happen partly overseas as well, but a big part of the work, most of the work has to be in Canada. And for nominating themselves, yes, self-nominations are accepted because not everyone has access to equal networks and opportunities for engagement across the country. We have recipients that are in very isolated, remote regions of the country, just like we have recipients that are from very populated, large cities. And so the type of networks that they have access to and the nominators that are available are very different.
Excellent. So once the nominations are in, and the deadline for this year is coming up soon, like September 30th, what is the next step of the process?
So the first thing that happens once the call for nomination ends is we go through a screening process. So it's just to make sure that all the nominations are entered properly. We have all the material that's needed, including a letter of support. And then if needed, we follow up with the nominators and the nominees just to make sure that whatever that's missing can be submitted before it's too late, because at one point we then have to move on to the next step after that, when screening is done, which is the assessment. And we try to really focus on the fact that this is a program for Canadians by Canadians, because when the nominations are assessed, it's not by a bureaucrat such as myself. It's really peer assessment, because they are first assessed by regional reviewers, and the regional reviewers are composed of volunteers from across the country. And who is better suited to know the landscape of volunteering in the different regions of the country than other volunteers? And so we count on the help of volunteers who signed up with us to become regional reviewers. And if anyone who's listening is interested in becoming a regional reviewer, please feel free to send us an email. We'll be very happy to work with you and form new relationships. But then the regional reviewers, they work on assessing approximately 20 nominations each, depending on the number we get each year, but approximately 20 nominations each over a period of 4 to 5 weeks. And so once that's done, they score the nominations, they add their comments. We take the averages because each nomination is assessed by at least 3 reviewers to try to keep it fair, so we can come up with a fair average, because some reviewers might be a little stricter than others, some reviewers might be a little more generous. So we try to make it as transparent and balanced as we can for all the nominations. And so when that's done, we take the scores of all the nominations, and it helps us identify the top ranked nominations. So what that means is in each region and category, as it is right now, we have 5 categories for the awards. There's one national one, which is the Thérèse Casgrain Lifelong Achievement Award for volunteers that have contributed 20 plus years of their lives to volunteering. And then there are 4 regional awards. So there's the Emerging Leader, which targets youth between the ages of 18 and 30. There's the Community Leader Award for individual volunteers or groups of volunteers. of at least 18 years of age, doesn't matter for how long, and they've been volunteering, is based on their work. Then there's the business leader category, which focuses on businesses that demonstrated social responsibility, as well as social enterprises that may work at a profit, because social enterprises is still in that gray zone where a lot of them operate like businesses, and some operate a lot like not-for-profit organizations, so it's a little tricky. And then we have the social innovator category, which focuses on the not-for-profit organizations, but also includes social enterprises that operate at the not-for-profit as well. So that's where the gray zone comes in. And so in each of these categories, we identify the top ranked nominations, which usually comes down to the top 3 in each category, divided into each region as well. So for example, in Ontario, there'll be nominees for each of these categories, as well as in Quebec or the Prairies, British Columbia in the North, and the Atlantic as well.
Okay.
And then that goes to the final stage of assessment. And the final stage of the assessment is another group of volunteers that signed up to be part of the National Advisory Committee. So the National Advisory Committee is comprised of 15 members, of up to 15 members, I should say. And they serve on average 2 to 3 year terms to then give a more thorough assessment of the top ranked nominations, to then come to a consensus together on who they recommend to the minister should be the recipients of each category in each region. And then that gives us the 21 award recipients.
Wow.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, like, you know what? And I think you could have said that with your eyes closed. Like, it's like you're bam, 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 bam. That is fantastic. Just some things I'd like you to get a little bit deeper on, and
Yes.
and I hope you're comfortable in sharing this. We first met via Zoom call,
Yes.
and it was specifically you answered a question there, and I hope you can answer it here, that your department or the organization was not seeing a lot of nominations from the Black Canadian community.
Yes. So we try to improve our outreach and our visibility and our engagement with communities across Canada every year. So we notice, as we work on our call for nominations particularly, that we draw in the nominations and we try to reach as many people as we can, but we still identify gaps. Gaps may be either there's underrepresentation of a given group in either a specific region or in general across the country. And so as you mentioned, like when we were having that session, is that some years, particularly like last year, for example, we noticed that there was an underrepresentation of nominations for Black Canadians. And we were trying to find ways to improve access for the program to Black Canadians, and trying to identify why maybe there may have been underrepresentation. Was it because we didn't reach out to the right people? Was it because we unknowingly had barriers in the way that the nomination process works? So we try to improve every year, but also we find that the number one thing that helps us the most in increasing participation is forming relationships and partnerships and friendships, such as the one that we're seeing now, to help raise awareness about the program, so that, because the biggest weakness is that most Canadians don't even know we exist. And so if people don't know we exist, they won't know to look for us. And the best thing to do is to have these conversations so people can find these opportunities, and we can create opportunities as well for engagement. And so hopefully we can address some of these gaps that we find, such as good opportunities for participation from Black Canadians across the country.
Thank you, and appreciate, and we appreciate your organization reaching out to us in regards to that. You mentioned the qualifications for
Yes.
someone who wants to be a volunteer. What are the qualifications for someone who wants to be a regional reviewer? And I just like to say I am a regional reviewer now because I put my foot out there. But what are the qualifications? Because I don't know what the representation of Black Canadians are at that level, because I may think, and there's the 4 animals. Henri has 4 animals in the house, so
Sorry.
it's all right. I asked him, like, what's a tougher thing, control the environment at home or the control the environment at work? But he said he's got it under control. 2 dogs and 2 cats. I don't know how he does it, but that's a whole other conversation. But is there also a lack of representation of Black Canadians in the regional reviewer area?
Yes, that's also one of the other areas, because as I mentioned earlier, during the call for nominations, we focus a lot on the nominations, but it's not the only way to be engaged with the program, because our main objective, our biggest goal is to support and promote volunteerism in Canada. It's an incredible resource and tool for community development, and recognition through the awards program is one of the many ways that we can do that. But another way that we engage with Canadians is with the regional reviewer process, because a lot of people not necessarily have someone to nominate, but they have an opportunity to participate in supporting our volunteers. And so the criteria to be a regional reviewer is just to have experience in volunteering. That's it. We only seek Canadians that are at least 18 years of age, who have volunteered and who are interested and available, because there's a lot of self-sufficiency required in being a regional reviewer in order to assess the nominations, because it's done from your own computers using our online system to access the nominations. Of course, there are privacy concerns to be addressed. So everyone who's a regional reviewer also has to agree to protect the personal information of the nominees and nominators, because they'll have access to some information as they assess the nominations, but also to try to keep the information confidential, because depending on how the nomination assessment goes, the regional reviewers might have a bit of an insight of who will make it to the top rank. And so we want the recipients to find out first before the rest of the Canadians do.
Absolutely. It makes sense. And actually, one of the great supporters and a great longtime volunteer, Nicole Waldron, is here saying thank you for mentioning the lack of nominations for Black Canadians. I suggest connecting with Black organizations and Black leaders, as well as the churches. Nicole, you and I will take that conversation offline, because you know enough of them, and then we can use this video to make them aware and create the awareness in regards to the Canada's Volunteer Awards for Black Canadians. So I think great suggestions, absolutely, and it's something that needs to be known about. Let me ask, Henri, how has 2020 had an effect on the Volunteer Awards?
Yeah, the effect has been huge, because normally during our call for nominations, we take the time to meet people face to face. We take the time to attend a variety of conferences and events, and trade shows, anything really where we might find individuals or organizations or even businesses that are involved in the charitable sector in any capacity, to try to build relationships. We find people tend to be very receptive when we have conversations, and we give a face to a name instead of blindly sending out emails or randomly posting on social media. We try to find ways that are engaging. So this year, we couldn't do that. For the safety of Canadians and for the safety of our team as well, we couldn't travel and we couldn't meet face-to-face with everyone. So we had to find new ways to do this. So one of the ways was trying to organize virtual sessions, such as the one where you and I met, to share some information and gauge interests of different possible stakeholders across Canada, to form new relationships and engage in interesting conversation and partnerships to promote the awards, but maybe finding common grounds where we might mutually gain from working together. And so one of the things that we did was those types of sessions, but another thing that we did is we tried to work in a different way with organizations that we knew had national reach across the country, to form agreements and partnerships so that we may distribute information in a different way. in a more interesting way, although virtual still, to organizations and volunteers and businesses across the country. And then we tried to do something else because we realized that because we can't do the face-to-face, that means some of the more remote regions may have a harder time hearing about the call for nominations. So we tried to work on a different, more traditional means of outreach. So we created postcards that we could distribute through the mail that would be available on demand for anyone who wants them. So they're still available now. Even though the call for nominations is coming to an end soon, if people reach out to us and they ask us to have copies, if they know people that they'd like to share them with, just let us know and we will get them shipped out. But we have postcards for visuals. We have a whole bunch of material online as well. But we are also very fortunate this year that we found a lot of people that wanted to help share information about the call for nominations who, like us, believe that it's crucial to recognize volunteers across Canada.
Wonderful. That's it. It's fantastic. Great. It's always nice to hear about wins and success.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And I'm going to start winding down now because Henri's been great. He's been managing the dogs. Like it was only one dog barking. So he's doing a great job. Very impressed.
Right.
Very impressed. So with this nomination phase ending, when would the awards be scheduled to be given out based on the nominations that are going to be received before September 30th?
So because this year is tricky, we have a kind of a double cohort situation going on. Because normally, with 2020, we would have had our awards ceremony during National Volunteer Week in April. So we have our 2019 award recipients who have been announced earlier this year. It came out a little later than we would have normally done it because the government of Canada was focusing a lot on activities to help keep Canadians safe with COVID. But as resources were being made available for other good news stories, such as Canada Volunteer Awards recipients, we announced the recipients of the 2019 call for nominations, but we didn't hold the ceremony for them yet. So there are a few things that are going to happen. So we're working on bridging between this year and next year some opportunities for the 2019 recipients, but also to try to build some momentum towards the 2020 call for nomination recipients. So we are going to organize a virtual exemplary practices session, which is sort of a knowledge sharing event for the recipients. So the recipients will get to meet each other because normally as part of the recognition package for the recipients of any cycle, we invite them to come to an in-person ceremony in the National Capital Region. So we take care of bringing them from wherever they are in Canada to the National Capital Region where they will meet the other recipients, get to know each other, share some of their best practices. We organize the exemplary practices session around a theme that's timely and important depending on the time period that we're in. For instance, we are looking a lot at the recommendations from the Special Senate Committee on the Charitable Sector and about the importance of recognizing volunteering and the different groups that may be underrepresented, the seniors that also are one of the groups that are underrepresented in recognition, for instance, and how we can contribute to that. And so what's going on is that for the nominations of this year, we'll be going through the different phases of the assessment that I described earlier, which take a while. So even though the regional reviewers have 4 to 5 weeks, the NAC members also have another 4 to 5 weeks, but then there's a deliberation process, and then it takes a little while to prepare for the next ceremony. If all goes well, and if the second wave of COVID is under control, we are hoping that early spring, that during the spring or early summer of next year is when we'd be able to hold the next ceremony with the recipients being announced. But we're trying to prepare in case something happens or in case we need to do things virtually again. But between now and then, we're hoping to also have a few things in place, either for International Volunteer Day or at least to highlight the 2019 recipients to try to bridge the gap between now and then.
Excellent. Of course, not more work to do, right?
Of course. And that's assuming nothing else comes up in the meantime.
Exactly. Well, what is the most challenge? What's the biggest challenge right now the Volunteer Awards is dealing with?
Well, the biggest challenge is dealing a bit with the unknown in the nominations we'll receive. Because the trends are a bit the same every year, where a lot of people get started at the beginning of the call for nominations and submit a lot of nominations, but the bulk of the nominations that we receive are in the final week. We've entered the final week, so we're seeing the numbers come in, but we don't really know how many we will get until the end, and we won't know if we did a good enough job in reaching out to everyone until we see the nominations. We try our best to reach out to as many people as we can, to as many organizations and as many groups, and share and give enough time for people to react. But until we see the numbers, that's the hardest part. Then comes with the regional reviewers, because as you pointed out earlier, we also have a challenge in having good representation of all groups in Canada amongst the regional reviewers, so that to give as fair of an assessment as possible to the nominations. So we always struggle there in getting the volunteers that we need, but we've been lucky this year. People have really stepped up, because as I've heard this morning, we have 90 volunteer regional reviewers.
How many?
90.
Wow!
And even then, yes. But that's thanks to the generosity of Canadians who want to recognize the importance of volunteers and volunteering. But yes, even though we have 90, it's still going to be quite a bit of work for the regional reviewers, because as I mentioned earlier.
Should I quit now?
Sorry?
Should I quit now? It's going to be quite a bit of work.
No. It's not going to be overwhelming, but I'm
just joking.
It's still significant, because it's on top of whatever volunteering that you or any other regional reviewers already do, on top of your work and on top of your obligations and on top of whatever other things that happen in our lives.
Life.
Yeah. And but because we try to not overwhelm, and that's why we seek a lot of regional reviewers, so that people don't get burnt out and they want to continue. So we try to have each nomination assessed by 3 reviewers at least, and that comes up to about 20 nominations per reviewer if all goes well. And depending on the nomination, it can be anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour per nomination.
Okay.
Over 5 weeks.
All right. Well, you know what? I think that's enough. And Henri said this is the last work thing he has to do for today. So he's ending the day right. Don't you think, folks? He's ending the day right. Now, I know that people are saying, well, if we can't watch a video, is there a place we can go to check this out? So what I'm doing for those people who are watching, either live or on the replay, there is the website address for you. Please take it down and go. It'll give you all the information. I'll give another bonus. If you want, folks, this is what. So if you click on that URL or website address, this is the page you should come to. And it'll give you a full description. As you see, there's clickable links, and you can scroll down and gives you regional reviewers, national advisory committee, national award. All the information is on one page. Community leader, everything you've got is all emerging there. So basically, it goes into more detail on what Henri has shared during our conversation today. You can actually read it on whatever digital device. It's all there at the website address. So I think that is absolutely fantastic. for us and for everyone who's interested in this. So, Henri, I'd like to say first and foremost, thanks for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule. You and your team are doing an outstanding job. Thank you for making me aware of this great opportunity for acknowledging and giving props to the work that many individuals are doing across Canada. Thank you also for you and your teams to say we'd like more Black Canadians involved in this process, not only from an award-winning end, but also the nomination end and also the evaluation end. That's appreciated and not taken for granted. Do you have any final words you'd like to share with us today?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for organizing this and inviting us to share the news about the program. And thank you to everyone who joined and took time out of their day to listen to us talk.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
When's the deadline date for nominations again?
Yes, so the call for nomination closes on September 30th. We do accept nominations online through our nomination system, but we also accept them by mail or by email. We can, if you want, contact us. We can answer all kinds of questions, provide you copies of forms if you'd like to submit the nominations so that they can be submitted to us electronically or by mail, whatever that's easiest. And if there's an interest for participating as a regional reviewer, let us know, and we'll make sure to get you prepared and set up to be able to help with the assessment.
That is absolutely fantastic. And Nicole is saying, thank you for sharing this valuable information. That is fantastic. Again, and also too, if people have questions about being a regional evaluator, I am one of them, and I'm going through the process right now. So I'm a little bit further ahead, and I can help you in regards to that. So thank you so much. It is Dr. Vibe. I'm host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 award winner in the innovation category given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, one of the things I do too is I host online conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. If you want to get in contact with me, the best place to go to is my website, and it's up on the screen right there. You can see it. If you're watching, it's scrolling on the screen. If you like to go there, and everything you want to know about Dr. Vibe is there. Replays of my Epic Conversations. I've done over 2,000 of them. All my social media contact information, if you want to be a guest on the show, is all there. As always, I'd like to finish off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And I want to encourage, if you are interested in this program, recognition of the great volunteer work done by Canadians, please, please, please find out more information. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. Thank you for watching live on the replay. Bye-bye, everybody.